Today I am reviewing the Dreo Barista Maker. I've already got this started on making a flat white style of foam, and we're going to see how well this actually does. It takes about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. This is a $100 automatic milk frother to click with a button. It pairs great with things like the Flare, any of the Flare line or the Pico Presso, which I have sitting right there. One of the things I think that is interesting about this is when it comes to steaming milk at home, it can be kind of a challenge, especially if you have one of those manual machines and you want the occasional latte. That being said, you can buy a Bellman steamer for $100. You can buy the Subminimal Nano Foamer Pro for like $160. And there's a lot of different other options out there. But the problem with most of them is you cannot make latte art with them. And that is something that a lot of people want to do and have that control over the foam. This one does a great job. It has a bunch of different settings for foam. So you can do cappuccino, you can do flat white, you can do latte, and it changes the thickness of that. You can do hot and cold. And then it has a simple stir function. So if you want to make, say, a hot chocolate, you can throw in your milk and your hot chocolate powder and select whatever temperature, and it will stir that for you, or it can cold stir for you. So you can do protein shakes in the morning if that's something that you want to do. You can select different types of milk. So you can do whole milk, you can do plant-based milk, almond milk, oat milk. Once you get that beep, it allows you know that you're done. So one of the things I did before I started this is I took a temperature of what it said. I took a temperature of the milk beforehand, which was 51 degrees. I am in America, so that is in Fahrenheit, just FYI there. And this came out to 110 degrees is what my milk is showing up on my temperature. Dreo did send me this in exchange for a review, and I'm going to go into a lot of different things on it. They don't get to see this before I make it, but I did, however, ask for some other things in exchange for it. Sorry if this is a little loud. I'm going to pour directly out of the milk jug. All right, so this was a very poor example of what latte art is, and I'm not going to show it because that was my fault on pouring. But basically what I want to go with this is you can pour good latte art consistently with this. The problem I had was I just pulled my shot like 4 minutes before this video, and it wasn't the greatest shot and didn't have a lot of crema in the beginning of it, so I started off poorly is what I'm trying to say with this. But more or less it did actually make good consistency of milk. You can kind of see that a little bit there. And you got yourself a good flat white style drink, and it comes in at about 90, it's about 100 degrees right now Fahrenheit, and I think that is enough for the temperature wise. All right, so I want to go into quite a bit of the features of this thing. Like I said, this is $100. Dreo sent me this in exchange for a review. I originally said no, and then I changed my mind and renegotiated my contract with them. So I told them I would do a review of this machine that they don't get to see if they send me their air fryer. And they graciously did that, so I got an air fryer for them as compensation for this. However, they still don't get to hear my opinion on it, and I think some of this they won't entirely like. This is a very good machine, and it's one of those things where it's almost so close to being exactly what I want in a machine. It has a lot of features on it. It does very, very good consistency. Very, very easy to use if you just look and read it at first. I was super confused because it comes with two different propellers and a stand for those propellers, and one is the disc one, which is going to be for the stir, and the other one is a propeller motion, which is going to be for everything else. And at first I didn't really read this, and I was trying to change the temperature of the milk on this side of the machine, which this is two separate things on here. So you have one side that controls like the milk for froth mode, and the other one is a stir mode. I can't read, and I didn't read, and I was super confused at why it was so glitchy and had a lot of issues at first. But then I found out it was entirely user error on every single thing, and it actually works super well. I took this on vacation, and I was honestly really annoyed because I didn't pay too much attention and I just brought it willy-nilly. The milk jug on this is nice. It does pour from fairly well. You're going to get better results if you get a picture on it. It's super wide on the bottom of it, which makes it super easy to adjust and change the propellers, and also to clean it to get any of the milk residue off of it. It doesn't really, it burns on there. It sticks on there slightly. I wouldn't even say it burns on there, but that can be a little bit difficult to clean and a little annoying to clean because you can't just run it under water. You actually have to take a sponge and scrub it in there, which is not a bad thing to do when it comes to cleaning on it. The closest thing I can find as a competitor for this is the Sub-Minimal Nano Foamer Pro. That machine came in at $160 versus this one is at $99 currently on Amazon. I had the V1 of the Nanofoamer Pro, and I decided that I really want to compare both of these. So I reached out to Subminimal, and they graciously sent me the Nanofoamer Pro 2. So I'm going to compare all of these head by head. But I would say my only concern with the Dreo, and the only thing that I would like them to change, and I did reach out because I did a lot of research on this machine from other forums, and I wanted to see if people had my same complaint. And my complaint was I wish it got hotter. It does a passable drink and it's a passable temperature. But frankly, when I make drinks for other people, they typically want it way hotter than I would prefer it and way hotter than most people would like. So it needs, in my opinion, to be hotter. They said they set this up for 130 degrees. I emailed them specifically questioning the heat, and they came back that they did it at 130 degrees because that is the best temperature for microfoam to pour latte art, which I don't disagree with them at all. I just wish there was a function where you could knock it up a little bit more and get a little less consistency for latte art. The temperature does, however, change based off of how much milk you put in there. So I'm not entirely sure how they do this temperature reading in here, but there's on the inside of the milk carton, there are some lines where it says minimum, maximum, and there's a little section for latte art. So if you're at the bottom section of that latte art, it's going to give you plenty of milk to put in any kind of drink that you want. However, the higher you go, the colder the milk gets. So I hit on this test 110, which is honestly, after all my testing, that is one of the lower temperatures on this. And I am using this electronic uh, digital thermometer from Subminimal, but it's not as hot as I would like it to be. 110 was really low. That's rare. It really does pretty consistent on the 130 mark, but it is kind of a frustrating thing on that end of it. However, when I look at Reddit forums, when I look at reviews of this, nobody has had that problem that I have. Maybe that's just my preference, but I just wish it could be a little bit more consistent on that temperature wise, and I would enjoy it a lot more when it comes to drinking coffee and making coffee, especially for other people's. It's not the best reliable source when it comes to temperature. But that being said, I don't want that to deter you from purchasing it because it does super well and it might be up to your standards for temperature. It just all really kind of depends on personal preference on that. I think there's other steps you can do, like if you pull a shot with a flare per se, preheat your cup with water. Put some hot water in there, and that will raise the temperature of your drink entirely. Pull your shot closer to when the milk is going to be steaming. That's going to take some practice, but it will be okay. This is a really good machine because I have now 4 automatic milk steamers, I think, floating around my house. And I was trying to like put it up down to 1 on this, and this one has a lot of pros over the other ones, which I'll get to in the future videos. And one of the nice things about that is when you do any kind of a mixed drink, so like whether you're have like the powdered Gatorade and you're mixing that with water, whether it's a protein shake, it's really nice to just dump the powder in and dump whatever liquid you're in, and you just click the stir button. That's a like super nice feature, way better than using those shaking blender bottles. This is not what I originally planned on having this, but it's kind of made a permanent spot on my counter because of all the other things I use it for. And then also, I can use it to steam and heat up milk, and I'm sure this is going to make a great hot chocolate when you add hot chocolate powder. Even though I didn't test this, I was mainly aiming for latte style stuff, but I have gotten incredibly good microfoam with any type of milk. I've used oat milk, I've used some almond milk with it, I used some whole milk with it, and it does a phenomenal job that I think I could recommend to anybody to make consistent frothy milk for what you want it to be when it comes to pouring lattes, which is great because that is a very difficult and challenge to do. So you can practice a lot on your pouring of the latte art rather than the difficult thing that it is to actually texture milk with an espresso machine. That being said, the temperature is literally my only concern with this machine. And if you get it and that's not a problem for you, then you found something good. $100 is very, very reasonable for this. All the other ones that I've tested on there that are at the $100 price points just make thick, huge, chunky foam, which I hate and don't want in it. It's only for somebody who wants one of those traditional style cappuccinos with a bunch of thick foam on there. You're not going to be able to pour latte art with it, and this is going to allow you to do everything that you want. It just might be a little colder than what you'd prefer. That doesn't mean that it's cold. It means that it's just not as hot as I would like it to be. If you're drinking a flat white, if you're drinking a cappuccino or cortado or macchiato or something small and you drink pretty fast, it's at a good drinking temperature when you get it. You don't have to wait for it to cool down. So that's the only thing, is if you want something that's quick and easy to use and you're going to drink your coffee as soon as it's made and it's not going to sit and you don't have to wait for it to cool down, stamp of approval. I would recommend getting it. Also, want to throw this in there, not because they're telling me I have to, but because I want to. Their air fryer is the coolest thing I've used in a long time. I'm trying to figure out how to make a coffee video on it because I just love it that much and I want to promote it. This company does some really cool things. I'd really recommend this or the air fryer, but I do want you to wait and stay tuned because I do have the Subminimal Nanofoamer 1 and the Subminimal Nanofoamer 2, the Pro versions of it that are very similar to this, that are coming in a video soon where I can compare all three of those pretty quickly and tell you which one you should buy. It's not the easiest answer and you can't go wrong with any of the three. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have an issue with the temperature thing like I did. The only thing I would say for Dreo when they're watching this video, because I'm sure they will because they've asked when this was coming out, if you could just make it so you could adjust the temperature on the Throff side, I think that would be great. You already have all of the technology in there because you can adjust the temperature up to, I want to say 170 degrees on the other side. So just allow us to have that option where we can have a little less texture of foam. If things change and they watch this video and they have an update and they want to say something, I'm going to ping that comment on the top just to let you know, because that is a negative side to it for me. But I hope you like this video. Let me know what you think, and please like and subscribe.